Last night's events may have triggered the next explosive altcoin rally. In today's video, I'm going to explain to you why the crypto market right now is perfectly set up for an altcoin expansion to the upside. Today, I'm going to discuss why this is the case and also present to you some of my top altcoin picks over the next few weeks. There are a few specific narratives which I think are going to perform really well that I want to discuss today. One of them is the AI sector, where at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my top picks and the top coins that I'm accumulating and watching in that sector, and also a variety of other coins that are exhibiting strength in this recovery phase. And just a reminder that if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button down below, as well as hitting that post notification bell for the latest crypto alpha. I've got some banger content lined up for you over the next few days with my top AI gems and much, much more. Of course, I always do my best to give you the latest alpha in this market. Whenever I get new information, find new altcoin gems, I always want to share them with you on the show to make sure you are early in this market and we can all succeed together in 2024. So you know where that subscribe button is. Let's get on with the rest of the show. So before we get into the specific altcoins I think could perform well, let's firstly look at what actually did happen last night, what implications this has on the market, and where I think we are currently sitting in the current altcoin phases. Looking at what happened to Bitcoin, it was remarkable price action. It was actually the biggest Bitcoin leverage flush in over 6 months since August 2023. You can see over $1 billion of traders got liquidated. 864 million of them were long positions, and even 260 million shorts got liquidated because we saw this massive wick. Obviously, we had the pump to the upside, a fake out, which actually did technically make a new Bitcoin all-time high, but then a strong reversal to the downside, which essentially flushed the leverage out of the market. A lot of altcoins were actually down 20, 30, even 40% in just a few minutes time. And people were getting absolutely wrecked across the board if they were over levered. So definitely another reminder not to go too crazy on the leverage. But the result of this leverage flush means that, as you can see via the funding APR heat map, a lot of the froth was actually taken out of the market, and you can see that froth was building up. It was getting more and more aggressive. Funding was going higher and higher and higher, in some cases above 100% for the major coins, and especially the meme coins, which have been a vehicle for speculation and gambling from retail over the last couple of weeks. But what happened was a total reset. Funding, which was at 100%, ended up reversing into the green territory. Now, it wasn't quite enough of a pullback to warrant negative funding, which would suggest rapidly dropping prices, but instead it leveled out in the safe green territory as exhibited by the funding heat map here on Velo. So what does this tell me? Well, it tells me that we got a leverage flush that was extremely needed for the market. It's not healthy when markets rise in price based purely off the back of rampant speculation. Obviously, crypto is a speculative asset class, but when the system gets too over-levered, this is a recipe for disaster, because it means when things go bad really quick, and they unravel much, much faster than people can get a grasp on. And what happens then is, if you have a 20% correction, this can really impact sentiment, and price can spiral downwards and downwards. And it can actually end up being the collapse of a bull run. This happened in 2021. Over-levered markets ended up resulting in a collapse of the bull run, alongside a variety of factors, of course, like macro and then structural black swans on the crypto market ended up exacerbating the issue. But the underlying message I want to get across here is that this was an extremely healthy leverage flush for the market, and the market is actually in a much better place than it was yesterday. I mean, the price is actually the same as it was yesterday, despite that pump to the upside and then that dump to the downside. So I don't know why anyone would be panicking. In fact, it's actually a great sign for altcoins. Why? Because despite the dip, a lot of people that missed the recovery bounce are now even more optimistic on alts because of the strong recovery that they exhibited. It shows that there's a lot of strength in the altcoin market, and a lot of people are now hungry to actually buy up these dips. So it's poured fuel on the altcoin fire. Also, we did need a Bitcoin correction, because when Bitcoin is running rampant to the upside, altcoins typically don't perform that well. We do need a Bitcoin correction / slowdown for alts to have their turn. This is something we're already seeing right now with Ethereum starting to gain momentum versus BTC. I'm going to touch on the altcoin phases in just a minute, but firstly, I want to teach a major lesson from yesterday, and I want to give you some alpha in the midst of what to some people was a devastating crash if they were over leveraged. There's actually a lot of valuable information that this crash, and more namely the recovery, actually gives us as investors to help us better position ourselves for the next few weeks. And if you're smart, you'll use this information to your advantage to actually make money over the coming weeks and months. And of course, the strategy I'm referring to here is using this dip as a way to identify the coins which bounce the hardest in their recovery phase. Because coins that are exhibiting strength on the rebound, typically these are the coins that perform the best if the market continues to trend higher. So if we are going into a bigger altcoin season, and I do believe we haven't really seen the true fun for altcoins just yet this cycle, then of course the market is giving us valuable information in these dip recoveries to identify what the strongest altcoins are. Now, I did an entire 20-minute video on this strategy, so I won't go into too much depth. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want the full strategy, but I'll give you a quick couple of tips from that video. The first one is, I love using Velo data for this because you can actually compare different alts and how they recovered. So you can see here that Ondo is trading at the same level that it was trading at before the dip. You can see Ethereum is actually performing stronger than a lot of alts because it's trading even higher than it was before the dip. Stargate, on the other hand, is not showing such good price action. Obviously, it had its major dip. It's almost back to pre-dip levels, but it isn't even quite there. And WIF is a great example of a strong coin that I'm referring to here in the midst of a correction that rebounded super strongly, actually rebounding from the bottom of this wick to the current price over 100%. So it's almost doubled. And this is just an example of free money in the market. In a bull run, the best strategy that you can do is buy these aggressive wicks. And that's why I actually recommend setting limit orders on strong coins or coins you like, because when we do get these leverage flush outs, that gives you an opportunity to potentially trigger some orders at very attractive prices. WIF, for example, if you were able to scoop this up at $1, that's a free double your money trade overnight. So this is a really good strategy in a bull market. We have this uptrend where price is going up, then dipping, then going up, then dipping. Actually capitalizing on these dip periods is super profitable because that's where you get your best risk reward entries. And if you're not sniping the charts all day, because if you're at the charts, then of course you can enter, you can just set limit orders. And if you're trading spot, you don't really need to worry about getting liquidated if price goes even lower. If you do have leverage orders in, make sure your leverage is super low because you don't want to have unmanaged high leverage positions. It just makes no sense. And another tool that I really like, which I also referred to in the video, is Banter Bubbles, because you can toggle across different time frames. The daily is really useful in this instance to see, okay, during the dip, which coins are actually higher now than pre-dip a day ago. We can see Uniswap's one of them. WIF is one of them. So meme coins performing well. Ribbon's one of them. I'm going to talk about the reason why this is one of them later. FET and AR, so some of the AI deep in plays also performing strongly. AI, I'm going to give you some of my top picks later in the show and explain why I think they're performing strongly. And importantly, Ethereum is actually outperforming Bitcoin and a lot of alts today, as we are seeing that rotation into the next phase of the cycle potentially. What are some of the other strong coins that are performing well? Well, meme coins are undoubtedly the strongest performers right now. Retail is absolutely gravitating towards these meme coins. WIF is actually something that I called on the show at about $1.20. It's over $2 now, so that's a strong performer. But Myro is your catch-up play, followed by a lot of these other AI coins as well that we're going to discuss later in the show. Luna's also showing some interesting price action. This is actually an interesting trade. There's kind of this Solunavax narrative starting to come back into the market, which is funny. It's kind of a bit of a meme, but I mean, it's pumping, and Luna, in a sense, is a meme coin at this stage. Maybe some of the lunatics won't want to hear that, but that's how it's trading. It's a community. It's a religion. There's not that much being built on it, so it's essentially become a meme coin. And another list that I really liked was Paradise's list. You can go and follow him, by the way. He's a great trader. And he has Myro, Luna, Synapse, Theta, Optimism, LunaC, so Luna Classic, Ethereum, Tau, WIF, Beam, and Jasmy as his relative strength plays from the lows. So these are the coins he identified that bounce the strongest. But of course, you can implement this in your own trading, and I always recommend that because there will be times where I'm not making a video and you're going to need this strategy for yourself. So I highly recommend using Velo and Banter Bubbles to implement this yourself. So before I get on with some of the altcoin sectors and coins I think are going to perform strongest over the next few weeks, I want to remind you that if you do want to sign up to trade any of these altcoins, I have one of the best deals available for you right now if you're looking for a new BitGet account. A $30,000 sign-up bonus if you sign up and deposit for a brand new BitGet account that you can access via the link in the description. They have pretty much all the meme coins, a lot of the newer alts that are listed get on BitGet before other exchanges. So if you do want to trade over there, that's obviously going to give you access to these coins and also access to that massive $30,000 sign-up bonus. So where are we currently sitting in terms of the altcoins? The path to alt season graph, sometimes this is memed. It's kind of been a bit overused in my opinion in the crypto space, but there is still some validity here to contextualize what phase we're currently sitting in. Now, although we've kind of been oscillating, there's been an accelerated nature of the market's propensity to churn through these phases. Generally speaking, I don't believe we've hit the true phase 3 and phase 4 seasons yet, because Bitcoin has started to run. Ethereum has started to enter this interchange phase where Ethereum goes back and forth with Bitcoin and starts outperforming it. This is exactly what's been happening during this phase overlap phase. Of course, the market started to front run and pump a lot of altcoins, namely meme coins, but we haven't really seen this liquidity flow happen yet into the large caps and the mid caps. So I still do believe in terms of an alt season, a greater alt season this year, I'm not saying it necessarily happens right this second, but certainly this year, I still think there's still a lot of room to run in the strongest narratives. We'll talk about some of them later in the show, but AI is a great example of a strong narrative. Meme coins are now presenting themselves as a super strong narrative. But it definitely is a good sign that Ethereum is now starting to perform well. And I want to re-highlight the point I made before in the show, that the way we've recovered from this dip actually filled a lot of people with confidence, and the general overarching sentiment I'm seeing on Twitter is a sentiment of optimism and bullishness, and actually FOMO from missing the dip buying opportunity, which shows to me that despite that flush, the market is actually now more optimistic and more willing to FOMO into the market because they missed that dip. And that's a dangerous combination because now a lot of the leverage is out of the market, but the demand for these coins is still there. So now we have a healthier market structure compared to yesterday. And that's why I said at the start of the show, yesterday was actually a major event that in my opinion has triggered even better market conditions for crypto as a whole. So let's look at some of these strongest narratives that you could potentially position yourself in and some of the coins that you should be watching right now. So clearly Bitcoin is absolutely pumping. What this Bitcoin pump has done is it's thrusted Bitcoin back into the mainstream media spotlight. You have Bloomberg posting multiple articles a day. It's being spoken about on national television, CNBC, also covering Bitcoin. Even though not all the coverage is that glowing towards cryptocurrency, which is funny, it's giving exposure to the crypto market as a whole. Bitcoin, even if you think that this cycle is different due to ETF demand flows, etc., that's an argument for another day. One thing you can't deny is that Bitcoin is the greatest marketing that there is for cryptocurrency. When mainstream media talks about Bitcoin, it alerts people to the fact that crypto is going up. And when retail are alerted to crypto going up, what do? Well, when they step into the market, they don't look at these crazy fundamental DeFi alts. They go straight for the left curve stuff. They go straight for sectors like AI, meme coins, gaming, these kind of narratives, but mostly the meme coins, if I'm being completely honest with you. That's where they get attracted. So this whole marketing push that Bitcoin hitting all-time highs has had on the crypto market is really marketing the meme coins more than any other niche. And here's the thing, Bitcoin hasn't really had enough time above its all-time high. It really just tagged its all-time high, technically made all-time highs, to fully assert itself in the mainstream media. As we see Bitcoin price discovery, as I believe we will get, there will be more and more and more coverage of the Bitcoin price. The higher Bitcoin goes, the higher and longer it stays above its all-time high, the more marketing it's going to get and the more it's going to attract people in. And that's why I believe meme coins, although they have run a lot, they actually could be here to stay this cycle. And some of you might hate to hear that because maybe you've missed the meme coin run, maybe you haven't had an opportunity to position yourself, maybe you just don't understand meme coins, you prefer fundamentals. That's cool, but hate it or love it, we all just have to accept memes are going to outperform again this cycle. Hate it or love it, that's the truth. That's the reality of the crypto market. Retail likes memes, and crypto is getting a lot more exposure now with Bitcoin at all-time highs. Coinbase as well finally entered that top 50 again, ranking at number 49 for apps on the App Store in the US. So we are now seeing retail coming back. This is a key indicator because retail downloads apps like Coinbase when they want to get into things like meme coins. Now, here's a very interesting observation about where the market sits. Right now, the barbell strategy, a strategy that I shared on my Twitter account almost a year ago, is actually working the best. So the ones that have portfolio constructions mostly geared towards major caps, they're underperforming right now. And maybe that's you, and you're probably feeling the FOMO, right? Because the barbell strategy is outperforming. Now, what is the barbell strategy? The barbell strategy is where you combine a hyper-aggressive asset allocation with a hyper-conservative asset allocation. In very simple terms, on the left, you have Bitcoin. It's the most conservative crypto asset, and Coinbase stock, if you want to count that. And the hyper-aggressive investments are the meme coins, the complete degen stuff that you might think's rubbish. In the middle of a typical portfolio construction, you would have your majors. However, right now it's clear that the ones that are just holding Bitcoin and memes are performing the best, because Bitcoin's outperforming most alts. Only recently have things started to slightly shift, but overall Bitcoin has outperformed most alts. And then your hyper-aggressive meme coin plays have outperformed the major and the mid caps. So this barbell strategy has actually been the most effective strategy so far this cycle, and it could continue to be for the foreseeable future. The only thing I will say on this is that I do think we are seeing a little bit of a shift into Ethereum now. Well, it's clear that's what the charts are telling us. So this may be changing slightly, but I still do believe going hyper aggressive in a bull run is the way to make the most gains. Absolutely. So this strategy definitely has some merit. So I wouldn't chuck your entire strategy out if you're not following this. It's just an interesting observation that this is the best construction that's performing right now. So meme coins clearly is what's getting retail's attention as they flood back into crypto. WIF is really leading the charge in terms of price performance. Absolutely exploded. I actually did call this on the show at $1.20. It's now over $2. It wicked up to $2.20. This is one that I said I was bullish on, and I actually said I preferred it to Doge because it's just cuter. And I think retail just gravitates towards that meme more than Bitcoin. And this theory's been pretty spot on even, in the 4 days since I uploaded that video. Some other meme coins that are performing well, Flocky performing very well in light of their new burn mechanism, which they recently passed. They've got 25% of the supply staked, so slightly reduced supply pressure and a supply crunch potentially coming from that burn mechanism. That's obviously starting to garner some hype. Myro performing really, really well, which is named after the Solana co-founder's dog, kind of gaining popularity versus Bonk, which is a leading meme coin on Solana and has a lower FDV. So that's an interesting play for me. Obviously, these are very degen plays, and in this market, you got to be careful because meme coins have run a lot. But those are some of the ones that I'm seeing gaining some traction. But let's move away from the meme coins now because I've been covering them a lot. And let's move on to some of the other narratives I think can perform. Maybe the ones that haven't run so much that I think still have a lot of potential. So I'm going to touch on two altcoins, which are clearly leading and could continue to lead for the foreseeable future. And then I'm going to get into AI, which as a sector, as an entirety, I'm extremely bullish on. And I do believe a lot of the AI coins are going to absolutely fly this cycle. And if you aren't already positioning yourself in AI, or at least thinking about it, I would definitely start waking up to doing that, because I believe AI will be an extremely, extremely strong sector. It's one of the sectors I'm most bullish on long-term in crypto, actually, but even in the shorter term with all this hype, NVIDIA conference, etc., which we'll get into, I think it can perform super strongly. The first altcoin I want to touch on before we get into AI is Ribbon Finance. Ribbon Finance is absolutely ripping. If you go into Banter Bubbles, you can see it's actually the leading token today out of the major caps. Why is it flying? Well, it's flying because they're launching a new token. You can see here March 13 is being teased as the date with the token posted here for an application called AVO. AVO is a perpetual exchange. It's one of the best perp dexes that I've actually seen in crypto that allows you to trade a variety of assets, but also pre-launch tokens where you can trade tokens before they've even launched. Trading volume in AVO is super high at the moment, and price actually has been more stable if you compare the liquidity on AVO compared to a lot of centralized exchanges. So it's a great product. It's obviously got big backers like Paradigm, Dragonfly, Coinbase, some of the reasons why it's performing so well. And this new token is garnering some hype because it's trading on Whales market, so this is a futures market, at over $3 per token. Now, if you look at the Ribbon token, it's $1.12. So if there is a redemption from Ribbon into AVO, then technically there's almost a 3x on the table if you look at Whales market. Now, this does come with some risk because Whales market can sometimes have fake fills. There is some speculation because of the time involved during the redemption period, so there is some risks. But the reason why the token's repricing higher is simply because people are really bullish on AVO. And I'm bullish on AVO as a product. So the token is obviously trading at a higher value. I also want to make it clear that I am an investor in AVO as well. So this is one that's performing really strongly, and there could be a trade here. Like, obviously it's absolutely ripped, but I still do think there could be a little bit more room for this to run. So that's why I've still got my eye on Ribbon, but obviously AVO is the one that I'm really looking forward to. You can already use the product now, but the token itself will be interesting as well. Another leader in the market that I think can be one of the best performers, not just over the next month, but continue to be a strong performer this year, is Ondo Finance. It's really the premier RWA protocol, and if you want exposure to RWA right now, unless you go really indirect by like investing in oracles or layer 1 blockchains, I mean, the most direct way to get exposure is really an application like Ondo. Now, they just announced a new update, which is absolutely massive, which is solving the RWA liquidity problem, which is called Ondo Global Markets, which is a platform to bring all publicly traded securities on chain with native access to traditional securities exchange liquidity. This is absolutely crazy. I mean, we haven't really seen this sort of securities tokenization occur in crypto to this date. It may not take off, but if it does take off, it's going to be absolutely massive. So Ondo Finance, who are backed by Pantera, Coinbase, etc., Founders Fund, they're really leading the way, paving the way for RWA protocols. You can already start earning yield on US dollars, US treasuries, US money markets right now. It's an absolutely amazing product. And I think because they've built something so solid, even at a $5 billion FDV, considering they've got a relatively low float at a 700 mil market cap, I think this one still has room to run, especially when RWA sees that narrative kick off again, because it's kind of been stagnant since January, but the whole Larry Fink asset tokenization narrative, it's bound to rear its head again. It's a very exciting and popular vertical in the market. So now let's move on to AI. The last exciting and popular vertical in the market that I want to discuss today. But last but not least, because I think AI is going to be one of the strongest performers this cycle. And over the next 2 weeks, I also expect AI tokens alongside the meme coins to be some of the strongest performers. Why? You've got the NVIDIA conference on the 18th of March. Let's not even talk long-term because I'm doing a long-term thread tomorrow. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, link in the description for that. I'm going to do a video breaking down these altcoins in more depth in a couple of days. So let's not even talk long-term in today's video. Let's just talk about the short-term trade because you guys know my opinion on AI long-term. The conference is on March 18th. There's a lot of hype into the conference. The beauty about AI is it has a lot of these real world narratives, whether it be conferences, investment in the real world, new launches like Sora, new products always coming out. This garners attention and hype for AI in the real world. And we see this same hype flow in the crypto market, which is a highly liquid market and a highly liquid representation of AI compared to more illiquid asset classes like stocks. AI crypto, even though a lot of them aren't even really AI cryptos, are just way more accessible than the stock market. So it's very easy for people to liquidly trade these narratives and hype. And for that reason, if you're going to trade the NVIDIA hype into the conference, the AI coins make for a decent proxy. And that's why I think they can actually perform well and continue the charge to the upside. I mean, that combined with the fact that everyone's talking about AI right now. It's funny because I've been talking about AI for like over a year on Crypto Banter. I've done so many threads on it in the past, but recently a lot of big creators like Alex Becker starting to cover it. Everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon. It's definitely got some retail mindshare going for it. That mindshare, I don't even think has really even hit its major inflection point yet. But let's just look at the chart and see what the TA is telling us. FET breaking into new highs. Ocean lagging behind. I do like these laggards. Usually I like to long leaders. So that's why I think FET and ADGIX are decent plays. But Ocean is interesting to me because it did have this deep wick, but actually did bounce quite nicely. So it's one of those coins where you can say, well, it actually did exhibit some decent strength on the bounce. You've got ADGIX as well, slightly weaker in the shorter term, but is one of the major leaders. So this is also one that is an interesting trade. You've got WLD, Worldcoin as well, which is at major support. That's interesting. Tau as well, just goes from strength to strength, being one of the biggest decentralized AI infrastructure plays in the market. Now, there are a couple lower caps, which I want to mention. Obviously, these do come with more risk. It's not that low cap. I think it's almost 200 or 300 million FDV, but RSS3 is another one that I'm looking at that has some decent price structure. They're backed by notable investors such as Coinbase, Balaji, Dragonfly, GGV Capital, and they've got their mainnet launch coming very, very soon. The way I think about RSS3, they're basically doing what the graph does in terms of indexing, but for the AI world. And they also implement Celestia data availability, so they're a modular play, basically represented via an L2 with native gas using optimistic rollups. So it's an interesting play from a tech perspective, but just from a charts and a hype trade perspective, I think this one can perform quite nicely. I also mentioned Golem in my last video. Congrats to everyone that got into that trade. That ended up being an absolute banger. Let's actually look at what Golem's sitting at right now. I did take some profits, I think, yesterday on that trade. That is currently sitting at 68 cents. So you're basically up double your money on that trade. It's absolutely amazing. I still do like this. I'm still holding a small bag of this. And I still think this can perform well, but I do prefer some of the others. And I'm going to leave some of the more micro cap plays for tomorrow's thread and video. So if you do want to check that out, make sure you're following me on Twitter and make sure obviously you have post notifications turned on for this channel so you are up to date with the latest alpha, because I will cover that. So those are some of the plays I'm looking at right now. The AI sector, super hot. You've got Ondo, you've got Ribbon. One of them's a DEX, the other one's a very strong RWA play. And then, of course, the meme coins. These are the strongest narratives that bounce the best. and I think could also outperform over the next couple of weeks. But in general, what happened yesterday, I think, is going to have positive ramifications for the altcoin market. This doesn't mean altcoins are invincible. There definitely can be drawdowns, but things are definitely looking good for crypto, and it would be remiss of me not to share my excitement with you just generally how the industry is positioned now compared to even just a couple of months ago. So I'm going to see you in the next video. I'm continuing with daily uploads to give you the latest alpha in the crypto market. Stay tuned for that AI thread tomorrow. It's going to be an absolute banger. Peace out.